Coming to you live from Kilnockie, it's the 10-Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I'm thinking about moving the podcast to Ireland if you don't deliver me a Pointy Award this week, okay? Introducing the bad boys of Scottish podcasting. First, this guy is a wanker. It's Chris.
I'll accept that, yes. Hello.
Representing Celtic on the podcast this week, like the bad boy Ally McCoist did. And secondly, his mother should have shut her legs. It's Andy.
Chris is gone. You didn't do right. Fucking legs.
Yes. We are the 10-Point Podcast. You can find us wherever you get podcasts, wherever you get video podcasts or audio podcasts. Type the words 10-Point Podcast into it. I'm assuming that's how you found us. Give us likes wherever you find the podcast. If you do enjoy it, give us a like, a thumbs up, a favourite, a subscribe, all that sort of stuff. We want to hear from you.
I do need to ask for a favour as well. For the 100% in the last 4 weeks of people that have listened to this have been men, apparently. So go get your girlfriends, your wives, or whatever.
Spread.
We need a female audience.
Spread the demographics. I mean, everybody wants
helpful in this. Honest to God, like the last 4 weeks of just things. So that'll be the Boston Strangler and the one before it.
Alien 3. I guess Alien 3 is not a big.
Alien 3 has just been 100% male. So
there's 2 females in that, and one of them's an alien, I think, in Alien 3. If I remember. So yes, 10-Point Podcast. That is us. Google it. We've got a website, 10pointpodcast.com. You can send us emails, contact us over there. Facebook and Twitter, 10-Point Podcast there too. Send us messages. Want to hear from you. We're not verified, and we're a wee bit away from having 1 million on Twitter to be automatically verified.
Oh, is that what it is?
He changes his mind every six hours, I think, Elon Musk. But at the moment, I think if you were a legacy account with 1 million, you get your tick back.
Maybe he'll give us one.
He might do. We should maybe ask him. He might like the podcast. I'm sure he's a listener. Elon, send us a message. 10pointpodcast.com, YouTube, Spotify, search for us everywhere. There's video versions, the 10-Point Podcast as well, so you can watch us argue with each other rather than just listen. Before we get on to the reason for the podcast this week, what was your highlight of the last week? I'm willing to let Andy lead off. I think he's probably most primed to have something good for us.
A little bit late to the party, but I finally watched Scream 6.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise you were that far behind.
Yeah, no, I hadn't watched it. What a film.
Pretty good.
I went in because I didn't really enjoy Scream 5. I was like, it's all right. Killers were a bit predictable. And in this one, I was like watching it. I'm like, at the start, I was like, I love the idea of what they're going to do now. It's like straight away we know who the killer is.
Yeah,
I'm loving this. Like, this is an angle of Scream that I've never seen before. And then they mixed it up and went back to old school Scream. But my only problem with the entire film is straight away I was like, yep, I know exactly who the killer are. I was like, that's them.
That's what as I said, I red herring. Have you seen it, Chris? Yes, so we can kind of.
I haven't actually. I haven't seen it.
Oh, right, okay.
3.
Right. We'll not go too far. I don't care. Not go too far into spoilers, but yeah, I red herringed myself. I thought who turns out to be at least one of the killers because it's Scream. Yeah. I was like, it's too obvious to be that route. That must be what they're trying to get us to think. It must be something else.
Yep.
So then I ignored that as being.
I must admit, like there was a part where I was like, no, 100%, I know who it is, and I was all the way through, and I was like, even when there was a bit half, I was like, no, this is a plan, and I called that, and it was only at the very end I was like, oh, they went down the super obvious route, like, yeah. And then it's like, no, they haven't. Straight away, I was like, yep. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It's not a massive spoiler, Chris, because you've got common sense. But at one point in the film, they try and convince us that Kirby, i.e. Hayden Panettiere, I don't know if you say her name, that she's one of the killers, except none of the ghost faces have appeared to be 4'9" through the film.
Yes. That was the bit when it was like they were saying it was her, and I was like having this big argument with Chantel. I was like, bullshit, that is too big. That one's too big. Nope, bullshit. Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm right. But my only other thing is, like, they're definitely obviously going to do another one. And 110% they have to bring Stu back now. Like, I mean, there was the biggest bit in there. It was just like, right, yeah, here we go.
That's when I turned my theory in that film. I was like, they keep mentioning Stu, whatever his surname is, and that he might not be dead. And I was like, unless they're really trying to get that as a red herring, I'm positive he's involved. And then every so often, like you said, there's a little clue where it could have been him.
Like there was too much Stu all the way through this, and then even just like the other thing, it's like, oh yeah, that was Stu. I was like, ooh, right, yeah. It's like he's definitely coming back in the next one. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
better than 5. I did enjoy it better than 5. I like Ghostface in New York.
Yeah, it was a nice turn.
And just how blatant he was this time, and like still got away with it. Like,
yeah,
love it.
Good. It's good. You always have a good time with Scream, but personally, Scream 3 omitted from that. But all the rest is always a good time, I think. Chris, what's your highlight of the last week?
I've had a bit of a slow week. Apart from watching the American Shameless over Nicola's shoulder, I haven't actually watched anything other than the
do your life.
Spoilers for next season.
Yeah. Yeah, spoilers. Jesus hell.
Well, it's all over the internet. You can't not see it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched anything this week, really.
Well, I've had a slow week as well, but speaking of Wrexham, Ted Lasso has been my most recent thing. Chris has caught up to me as he hadn't watched last week's episode, and Chris told us off podcast that he agrees that the episode in Amsterdam of Ted Lasso is the best episode yet, and I think easily the longest. It was like an hour long thing. But the Ted Lasso really hitting its stride here. Although as Jade pointed out to me during the last episode, I don't know if you've seen today's one, or yesterday's one. It feels a wee bit like they're trying to okay, Ted's not maybe the most essential character to our show here, and because he said he doesn't want to do any more beyond this season at the moment. I don't know if it's a contract kind of negotiation thing or not, but they could be maybe trying to be like, okay, well, Ted can leave the show and we'll just do Richmond FC sort of thing going on.
See, I think they're going to do a spin-off with Roy Kent as manager. He's going to take over at the end of the season, I think.
I could see that, yeah. I don't know if I'd have quite as much. I love Roy, but I don't know if I could do 40 minutes of him every week. I could maybe do 5-minute YouTube shorts of Roy Kent being a manager, but I don't know if we could do the whole episode of his own. But yeah, there's so many characters in it now. I really feel like they've had to double the length of episodes because there's so many different people need to get to them every single week and all that. But yeah, it's still pretty good. I think it's probably, for me, that last week was going to be the peak of it. I don't know if it'll ever be as good as that again. Yeah, it's damn good. But other than that, I've got a Mando-shaped hole in my week where I don't get to watch Mandalorian anymore. And that's it. In terms of films, I was hoping to have gone out to see Super Mario this week, but I wasn't able to go.
I did watch a trailer.
Which one?
The new Flash trailer's amazing.
I have heard nothing but good things about this new Flash movie. I liked the first Flash trailer. Didn't watch the new one because I've got to go see it. But I've only heard that it's great. So
the new one, fucking hell, I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I think it might be a proper good time at the movies, and then DC are going to just. Well, that's the end of that. We're not going to be carrying on.
Another we'll bring back the movie news for 30 seconds here. I guess it's CineCon or something like that's happening at the moment. This is why all the new trailers are coming out.
CinemaCon, I think it is.
Yeah.
Actually.
Apparently they did an airing of Aquaman 2.
Oh, right.
And apparently half the audience walked out. Apparently it is grim. And then they did a 20-minute screening of Transformers Beast Wars, which apparently the 20 minutes they watched was an unwatchable mess, apparently.
Right, okay.
So
that sums up a lot of the Transformers movies for me personally.
Should have stopped after the first one.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And then the only other bit of random thing I've seen is apparently New Guardians of the Galaxy is absolutely the best thing Marvel's ever done.
Good, okay.
So something to look forward to.
I don't think I'm prepared for it.
I know nothing of it at all, but I fear that at least 2 of the main ones are not making out of it alive. But I think there's 2 are definitely getting wiped out. But yeah,
I'm taking Chris to the cinema to go and see it.
But say that's within the next couple of weeks that comes out, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it in America. And then hopefully Chris doesn't get spoiled, and I'll take him to the cinema and just watch him.
Okay. That's the movie world, what we've seen and all that sort of stuff. We better get on to the reason of the podcast this week with point number 1. The point of the podcast this week is the 2000 sports drama A Shot at Glory, written by Dennis O'Neill, who wrote this and something called The River Wild and basically nothing else ever. So leave that there. And directed by Michael Corrente. And I thought, okay, this guy, he sounds like he's maybe got a bit of bit of prestige about him. Directed Federal Hill and directed Outside Providence, a comedy film from a couple of years before Shot at Glory, which is quite popular. It's a very kind of cult thing. But after that, basically had nothing. And his most famous things he did in movies were basically played a homeless man in Kingpin and a homeless man in Shallow Hal. So
there's a theme going here.
Yeah, a strange guy career-wise to be the director of this film. So they are the people behind the camera and all that. In front of the camera, the film Shot at Glory stars as Gordon MacLeod, Robert Duvall. We've covered him previously on the podcast. So most famous for Godfather Parts 1 and 2, and infamously not Part 3, Apocalypse Now, Tender Mercies, The Apostle, Deep Impact, which I always forget he's in, and Open Range are the big Robert Duvall movies. Co-starring as Peter Cameron, the owner of the football team, Michael Keaton, We've covered him before on the podcast. So he's famous for Beetlejuice, Batman, Jackie Brown, Birdman, Spotlight, and The Founder, the thing where he plays the KFC guy, are the big Michael Keaton things. And as speaking of The Flash, he's in that too. And our third, and let's face it, the real star of this movie, as Jackie McQuillan, making his feature film debut, Alistair Ally McCoist, famous for scoring 251 goals in 418 games for Rangers, scoring 19 goals in 61 Scotland caps, famous for being a captain on Question of Sport for about 15 years or something like that, and currently most famous for being the UK's most beloved football commentator. It's kind of where he is at the moment, Andy. I know you don't watch football, but everybody hates
enough of his shit.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody hates everybody who speaks over football, except from Ally McCoist. Everybody loves Ally McCoist.
And Clive Tildesley.
I would disagree with that. Some people would hate Clive Tildesley too, but McCoist, everybody loves him. So he is a very popular man, is Ally McCoist. This is his feature film debut. This film is also the last feature film Ally McCoist was ever in. We'll determine whether that was a good or bad choice when we get to the end. The film, A Shot at Glory, made on a budget of roughly $9 million. Well spent, I would say. It doesn't feel like a $9 million film. I think it feels bigger and grander than $9 million, I think.
I don't know where Sean's cut went.
US opening weekend. It made, I have no idea how much. We'll come back to that shortly. Scotland, its first 3 weeks of release, it totaled £36,000 in its first 3 weeks of release. Have its final US gross, $133,000 as well. Worldwide, I've no idea. I don't have the US numbers. Not 9 million would be my best estimate of how much this film made. The film was released.
I reckon we could double his budget now with this podcast. I'm telling you.
Let's get it back out there. Let's re-release it in partnership with the 10 Point Podcast. Release dates. Now, this is a bit blurry and hard to get my head around here. First, basically shown at the Toronto International Film Festival on September the 11th, 2000. So just a year before.
Why did they get it first? It's a Scottish film.
It's a very big film festival, is Toronto. So that's his first ever showing was there. And it basically has no other date of airing or broadcast until the Newport International Film Festival, which is an American one, on the 8th of June, 2001. So basically 3/4 of a year later was the next time anybody saw this film, apparently. And its limited US release, so that was June 2001, its limited US release came 3rd of May 2002 is when the film actually kind of came out. I couldn't find a UK release date. It has released, because obviously I got the Scottish numbers. So therefore that means it qualified for the year 2000 through 2003 award seasons, which was... it would have been very difficult for me to troll through, except it received 0 nominations at anything ever for any of the award seasons, independent festivals or otherwise. So not
have
one.
To change that.
Yes, not one. I'm positive this will get something at the Pointies at the end of the season. But yes, not one proper award thus far until it gets a Pointy. Not even a Saturn award. I don't feel like it fits into their category. So that means I can already jump onto the synopsis for A Shot at Glory.
Come on,
brought to us by Chris.
Oh, Chris.
But not that Chris, a different Chris has written it for us.
I'm surprised it's not from a guy called Sean.
Yeah.
I suppose you need to speak. This is a movie, and it is about football.
Okay, as follows: A Shot at Glory. Gordon MacLeod is the manager of a second-tier Scottish football team, which I think is already wrong. I think they're a third tier, because
Second in film.
They said they were Division 2, and then they get promoted to Division 1. But they also mentioned how far down they are, because at that time the Premier Division would be the top division. So
Premiership, then League 1, League 2, so they're down in the second division.
Yes, exactly.
But it's the third division.
But that's a second tier, which would be complicated football complicated things by not having one be the top. Anyway. He is the manager of a Scottish football team. Faced with pressure from his American owner, he is forced to bring on a marquee player to improve the fortunes of the team and prevents its being moved from the fiercely loyal town it's been for a century. Along the way, MacLeod must battle his own demons, including long-standing tiffs with both his daughter and a former colleague who betrayed him. And that's it. That was the only synopsis on IMDb. Was that. Who picked A Shot at Glory? It was Andy. Andy, why have you picked A Shot at Glory?
Because it's an underdog story and Sean's in it.
And that's why that's your background on the video.
And I was there in the film. You can't see me. You can see a silhouette of me and McGrath and Christopher, but not that Christopher, another Christopher.
You were on site during filming.
I was on site during the Queen's bit.
The Queen's game. The second, that was not the quarterfinal. I think it was the quarterfinal. Yeah. In fact, it definitely was the quarterfinal. Had you seen it before? Andy was there, so he'd seen it before. But you've actually seen the film a few times. Chris
I've seen it before.
I don't think I'd seen it all the way through, but I had seen most of it. I think
I'd seen most of it. I had seen none of it. I think I'd probably seen like stills or little clips.
How have you never seen this? This is Scottish heritage right here.
Well, I mean, it's hardly popular. It's not like it's on BBC Scotland every week.
It's free on YouTube.
Well, exactly. That's where I watched it, which we'll get on to. Which channel will we find it on? I've got none. I guess maybe BBC Scotland.
I have seen it on TV.
Right?
I would say BBC Scotland, definitely.
Scotland. It's the only place that would show this film. Like, it means nothing anywhere else because it's basically about Scottish football. Like, the crux of the whole thing is it's the underdog story, but it's like an NFL film might not do too well in different countries. A Scottish football film.
We've done 80 for Brady. We're covering all bases here. And ultimately, another reason why I picked this is one, because it's got Michael Keaton in it. He's going to be the new Flash. And two, I gambled that Wrexham were going to get win. They're getting promoted, which is pretty much almost what happens in this film. It's got a charismatic American owner. It's Wrexham 20 years before Wrexham was a thing.
Exactly.
This is a trend. Like I reckon Rob McElhenney watched this and went, "We can do this."
He's lying about how he actually wanted it.
Queen of Celtic gets bought out by Paul Rudd.
Queen's bought by Paul Rudd.
Exactly. I'm going to move the country to Wales so we can play against Wrexham. Which version did we watch? Well, there only is one version, but via the means of a guy putting it on YouTube in HD is the reason it's how I watched it. So,
well, me and Chris have both talked about the Mandela effect on old Shawnee here, which he's on IMDb is credited as confused fan.
Oh, I'm going to bring that up now because that blew my fucking mind. Because I was going through like the credits at the end and I seen that Sean was on IMDb. Then I've seen the credits in the film and he's not there. And I was like, some guys went out of their way to find Sean and put him in IMDb. Turns out it was Sean. He did it himself.
I'm going to say it. Like I've said, all signs would point to actually being Sean.
It blew my mind.
Yeah.
So but no, like there was definitely... IMDb's like Wikipedia. Anybody can just edit anybody.
Yeah, I've learned that.
But yeah, no, like there's a scene like Sean basically is quick. He just walks up, kind of looks at his ticket. But I'm 99% sure there's another scene where he's like standing and kind of actually looks.
Yeah.
So I think there is another cut of this film that they cut Sean out.
Maybe that it wasn't revealed on IMDb.
It's too much for the screen. They just had to cut him out.
I think he had too much screen time. They were going to have to pay him.
Yeah, he demanded too much from the unions. I believe that's us covered everything we need to do beforehand. So we can crack on with point number 2, which is the high point. So it's not the best bits, things, and all that were about A Shot at Glory. Andy, you picked. Why don't you start us off?
I quite like to start because, like, going from my background, I hate football except from Wrexham now. I didn't mind football when I was younger, but then when I worked in a pub for that many years and Rangers and Celtic were playing, it really puts you off of football, especially Scottish football, because Rangers and Celtic fans are knobheads.
Yep, exactly. Rangers and Celtic is the main thing about Scottish football, but also the problem with Scottish football.
So that nice little history lesson of like Rangers and Celtic, I thought it was actually pretty good. And then just to go from like this is Rangers and Celtic, but we need like a whole series of films to talk about that. Here's this other team. Yeah, it was a nice little segue.
It was kind of funny that I was like basically the beginning, the intro voiced by Andy Gray, Scottish football pundit as well, the pre-Ally McCoist, basically like explaining Scottish football is Rangers versus Celtic, and this and that and this and that and this and that, and then here's not Rangers or Celtic. Yeah. It's like, what was the first bit all about? Because, and then ultimately the film it's still a film about Rangers and Celtic, but we just happen to have other teams who we're following. This completely made up team. Like they could maybe have just made it about Rangers or Celtic, or even both if they really wanted to go that route. But no, it's about a made up team. I'm assuming Kilnockie isn't a real place.
No, we already checked that. Chantel's like, is Kilnockie a real place? I was like, it sounds like a real place, but I've never heard of it in my life.
It's a good made up. Yeah,
it is completely made up.
Yeah, it's a good made up name. Like it could be. You believe that but also it does sound and look tiny. Like there's no way that a football. Well, I'll get into that as one of my points. But the football team would be all there is in that town, seemingly. So following on from that, my first high point is McCoist. I'm gonna call him McCoist. I'll forget his actual name. Sometimes, what was his first name? Because they use Jackie. That might sneak in, but for the most time it's Ally McCoist. So Ally McCoist's arrival at training was my first high point. Especially him when he gets in there and he just kind of looks around.
Yeah,
sort of
he just put a mutter under his breath.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I've got written down. Him muttering to himself and all that. And then I realised at the end of the film, there was like a Spanish guy.
Yeah, he walked off Maradona.
Yeah, he was like, oh, well, if McCoist's here, I'm off. And he just leaves and he never comes back into the film again. And that's it.
I'm pretty sure his name was like, was it Madonna?
Diego.
I'm sure it was Madonna. So I don't know if he was like...
Diego.
Diego, that was it, yeah. It's like, yep. Maradona used to play for them. They fucked off as well.
He just disappeared. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene. It was good. Although I was trying to work out, like, at this point, I was trying to work out, like, what is this team? Because they've barely got enough for a squad doing training here.
I was going to say, I counted them up. In that first training session, including 2 goalkeepers, they've got 13 players. That's not enough for a squad.
No wonder they need McCoist. Like, they need this guy.
That's including him as well, I think.
One just quit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, like, the stadium is kind of... We've got one stand, basically. And I'm like, so there's no way this is a Premier... Like, this team is not going to be playing Rangers and Celtic in this film. And then I learn, okay, it's a cup run. It's like, okay. Fair enough. Okay, Chris, high points from you.
This is coming from a Celtic fan, by the way. Ally McCoist, in general, was the best thing about this film.
He comfortably outacts everybody. Except for maybe Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's like a wee bit separate from the rest of the film. But yeah, McCoyst's really good.
He's like a natural. Just walked in and like when he's moaning about people driving his car, he's not like just Robert Duvall. There's something about him just pissed me off. But Ally McCoist is just a natural. Very
quickly, I was drawn to. I want to see Ally McCoist win this film. Like, I think the film's meant to be about Robert Duvall's journey, but the film's about Jackie McQuillan's his journey from arsehole nobody wants to having the penalty to win the cup, which is not. But you know what I'm saying? That he has that, and like his redemption arc is what the film really is about. And yeah, I'm drawn. McCoist's he's not just playing himself. Like, he's not just. Here he is coming out of the tunnel. Here's him doing football. Here's the end of the game. He has other bits and pieces he has to do as well, other acting bits. But yeah, you're right. McCoist, he's good in this film.
Yeah,
it's a shame his career ended straight away. On the McCoist front, my next high point is 1999 technology, or whatever year it was actually got made, of colour changing the kits from McCoist's playing days.
This is hilarious.
Like, it looked like he played for Celtic. I thought it was really smart.
Chantel was like, that's the Rangers, because like all we do is frame Rangers like Ally McCoist shirts up. She's like, that's the Rangers, but it's green. And I was like, yeah, because he plays for Celtic in this. Why? Right. And she constantly just kept asking questions.
I'm going to bring up a low point here. I don't understand what was the point in making him a former Celtic player. Just make him a former Rangers player who has left, and it would make him the overall end of the story of him scoring the winner against his former club. There's a reason for it, but
I personally think the reason is to get publicity. It's like, oh, there's a film coming out. It's got Ally McCoist in it. Blah 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 blah. That's nothing. But you extra plus, oh, it's got a film in it, and Ally McCoist's going to be wearing a Celtic shirt in it. He's a Celtic player in this film, so therefore these photos make it into the Daily Record, and these stills, people spread it around before there really was a proper internet and all that stuff. Everyone, oh yeah, McCoist's in a Celtic shirt, blah blah blah, this stuff, and that's the only reason I think he was Celtic, because Celtic aren't in the film. He just played for them, but they play against Rangers in the film, like you say, play against his old team in the final. But I think it's purely to get hype going for the film.
The edited footage is just awful because, like you said, it's clearly a green Rangers shirt, apart from one, which just got his head put in
really
it.
Good. I thought fine.
No, it's the green Rangers shirt that I know is because obviously I've touched them every other day.
He's played for Celtic in a red shirt. Celtic have never in their life played in a red shirt.
I would complain about nitpicking, but I'll getting to nitpicking later on. But yes, I thought it was good. I liked them doing that rather than putting Ally McCoist in front of a 1999 green screen and having him run around in a Celtic shirt. It's like actually footage of him playing, and they did. And even taken
once,
right
in the final, I think at Hampden they had had him in a Celtic shirt, but he emptied the stadium because he didn't want anybody to see him in a Celtic shirt.
Fair enough. The even editing the shirt so it takes off like the sponsor and the badge and all that, I thought it looked okay. I thought that's fine, yeah, that makes sense. But it did look weird that there was just nothing on the front of his shirt. Any other high points? I've got a few more.
The mouthy bastard at the front of the games.
Yep.
Who's just standing behind the goalkeeper going, I pumped your wife and all that.
Yeah.
I've got them, and then the other fan, the guy that can't look, he's just always like this.
Yeah.
Those two are brilliant.
They're pretty good.
What's what he said? Oh, your wife's she's like Cock on the clown. He was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it was funny. Pretty much every game he had a bit of an outburst, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
Maybe he did come on the pitch at Hampden.
I was saying when I used to go like to every Queen's game with Ran, it's like there is literally fans like that in those lower divisions all the time.
They need them nowadays. They need people to try and psych out goalkeepers and make it a bit more interesting.
The idiots these days run on the pitch and all that sort of stuff. That's the difference nowadays. Next high point for me is basically the Queen's game and everything.
Yeah, Queen's game.
Yeah,
and it's exciting.
I would say the games in general because it actually looked like they got everybody out to play football, and it wasn't just.
Carry on.
Do you know, like in Ted Lasso, like they do like the mazy run from the halfway line, and they do the fake slide tackles and all that. This just looked like it was like 22 guys playing a game of football.
That's pretty much what happened. I was there. 4 hours that Queen's game took to film.
That was one of 4 games in the film, I think.
Yeah.
So 4 hours we got there, and I think Ally McCoist obviously filmed all his basically got everybody in the stadium. Then I think they filmed everything else out, like Robert Duvall and that outside. Old Gibson's buses turning up.
I see that.
I was like, oh! I used to go school trips in that exact bus.
Yeah, that bus that only us are going to get. But yeah, I think about probably 2.5, 3 hours. Fun fact for you, it was the Ally McCoist trying to score that overhead kick in the Queen's game. That was painful.
The high point for me. Like, talking of the Queen's game, that was the best bit of that game with him scoring that goal.
Yeah.
So it's less good if 100 goes.
Oh, honest to God, it was like, because me, McGran, and Christopher were behind, and literally every time he missed, we cheered because obviously we were meant to be supporting Queens.
Yeah.
And then obviously, so it's like, everybody's like, "Whoa, hey!" and everybody scored. And everybody's like, which was what was meant to happen. But just like cheering every single time like he'd missed, and then because we didn't know what they were putting in the cut. That was the thing.
But by the end, on the 40th goal, if he finally scored, I bet everyone was like, "Oh, he scored!"
But that's the problem. You can actually see a little bit like, "Oh, he scored," because we're basically just giving up hope at this time.
Yeah. I don't know if we need to cover Sean again. Sean's starring role in the film is during that Queen's game as well.
Classic.
Looking for his seat. But the McCoist versus Ian McCall fight is in this as well, which I very much enjoyed because a football player, Ian McCall, plays the guy called McCall that gets punched by McCoist in that game. But for some reason, he doesn't play himself. I'll see if I can find it.
That's what confused me because I recognise his face and I recognise the name, but
he's Ian McCall and he's in a fight with McCoist in this game, and he's called Derek McCall in the film. It's like, what? Owen Coyle's playing himself for some reason, so why can't he play himself? And then some of the other Rangers players play themselves as well. I don't know why they decided to change his name, but anyway.
I thought he plays as well. Didier Gat plays for them. He used to play for Celtic.
Yeah. Some of the Kilmarnock squad in that season is the most ragtag bunch of Scottish football names I've ever heard in my life. What a real strange team they played. But yes, everything. The Queen's game is really good. It's a good part of the film, and I really like our main man Robert Duvall losing the heat in the changing room at halftime. He just runs in and boots the bin, gets the water bottles and hoists them against the wall, and then he has the shout match at the goalie, and then we find out the goalie's got a stutter, and then the insult about your mum should shut her legs. That's probably the best scene that isn't on a pitch. It might be that scene in the dressing room. And then literally what Chris said, the actual football matches are done really, really well in the film, comparing to other things we've seen recently, like Ted Lasso and all that.
The goalkeepers as well look like the actual goalkeepers. Don't do that. You know when you play football against a kid and you do I missed it. They don't do things like that. They actually look like they're trying to get it.
I mean, some of the Cole Hauser goalkeeping scenes were a bit iffy, but when the actual goal he was in, he was fine. And including, I want to say, Andy Gray and Rob McLean, the commentators.
Aye.
They were not as fake as a lot of sports commentators are in films as well, including Ted Lasso. So, I thought they were good. So, I've only got a couple more high points after that, so who wants to go next?
Mine's the tea lady. She needs a shout out. Like just to any like when she walks in when I think it was the first game when they were losing or something, or the third game, and then they like basically destroys everything and destroys the crockery and stuff like that. And she comes
that
in,
was
like,
the first game.
Yeah, the first game. I love that. And then just later on when she just randomly walks in when they're all having a shower, cheeky wee bitch.
Cheeky bitch.
The tea lady cameos. Any others from you, Chris?
It's not until like the night before the final, the hotel room. I like the little twist where you think Jack is going to get caught body deep in that woman, but not.
The thing is, you don't. Like, well, personally, I didn't think he was going to get caught. I didn't think he'd done it, but then some people might be watching that scene thinking he'd done it. But every step of the way during this scene, when it's like it could go either way. It could, and then when she goes at the yeah, exactly, yeah. And then she goes at the bathroom, and you're gonna flood the place, and you're like, and then she comes back out saying something like, "I knew you guys." Oh no, she isn't. Oh no, she's not. Oh my God, Jackie, well done.
It's like a roller coaster.
I know. It's a great scene where at any moment could have gone either way. That this I don't know, slag had got into his hotel room rather than his wife. So
monster.
But yeah, that I take it back. That might be the best scene that doesn't involve football in the game. Really, and again, McCoist holds his own in an actual scene doing acting in his pants.
There is a lot of him just like staring, but even him just staring, you're like, I feel this stare. He's brooding. I can feel it.
He's actually handsome, is Ally McCoist. Like in some scenes where I'm like, yeah, you work in a movie. You do look like you're not like this weird, out of place, like ugly former sports star. You're like, you do have a bit of charisma about you. So yeah. That was a great scene. I agree, Chris.
Yeah, I jumped over one of my other high points with Ally McCoist as well, which is him saving the Rangers kids. I quite like that because Celtic fans are bellends.
Specifically, right? Okay.
Yeah, they definitely are.
They were in that film, that bit of the film certainly.
But yeah, I liked it because then
you don't know if they're going to batter them. They just happen to be walking along, hitting stuff.
With fucking baseball bats. Put it this way: Scottish people don't play baseball.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, not there to play baseball, are they?
Yeah. But I like that because like once again it's like the kind of random redemption story. It's like he's being nice, and then I don't know where like he just basically kidnapped the kid and then put him in a taxi. I don't know if that kid was ever fine again, but
that little bit as a low point. You can see why it's easy to kidnap kids. He's like, I'm Jackie McCollum, get in my car.
I know.
That's the reason to get in my car. I'm famous off the telly. Get in the car. I've only got one more high point, and that is the cup final. Basically, I thought the cup final was done really, really well. I wasn't quite like some of the movies we watched in the film, especially the sports ones. Obviously, I get a bit kind of not goosebumps, but I'm like, all right, okay, I'm ready for the. I wasn't quite there, but I mean, I was getting there. I was kind of okay. I'm quite
just for the American keeper.
Yeah,
Came into his own in that one then.
Kelsey, yeah.
That didn't do much.
He did this. He did the save.
Yeah, he saved the penalty.
He did the save.
Did the save.
The
penalty.
But yeah, the whole cup final's done really well. It's something about seeing Hampden. It's weird seeing Hampden not on like other BBC News, like seeing it in an actual film. It's the actual Hampden, which probably wouldn't be that long finished around that time, like because they redid it in the late 90s. And I remember going to a game there to reopen it, so they must have been freshly done. We'll hold the cup final at the at Hampden in the film. And also one thing that would normally really have bugged me, which would have come up later. But I don't mind the daughter talking to him at halftime. I thought it was okay. Like some films are like, absolutely, there's no way the manager would go and do that. Blah, blah, blah. But I feel like in this film, the film gave me enough explanation and reason that yes, he would go speak to the daughter at halftime. And yes, but I know actually that was quite a good scene as well. But yeah, the cup final, the whole thing involved the cup final, and a penalty shootout at the end, where the underdog.
I did like they skipped over extra time because I never understood extra time. Just fuck that off. Straight to penalties. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like the bucked trend as well. That in most films, would have the underdogs overcome the odds and win the cup. Like I just like that. Sometimes coming second's best for the team.
There's definitely a tipping point in movies where sports movies did like. I don't know when they started, when the first ever sports movie was, but say it was something like the 60s. I feel like the 1960s to the 90s, the underdog, the featured act in the film, they always won the big game in the end. And then somewhere around the 90s, everyone was like, we always win. Like, did the Mighty Ducks, did they win, or were they a glorious loser as well? I feel like around that sort of era, glorious defeat started happening in sports movies. And now I feel like glorious defeat happens more regularly than people winning. So the next big sports movie comes out, hopefully they're just going to randomly, they won. They won. Maybe that's Wrexham season 2. I don't know.
Yep.
But so that's me at High Points. The cup final was my last one. Any others we've missed?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it just kind of ends abruptly anyway, doesn't it?
I guess so, yeah. And, a final high point, introducing Ally McCoist at the end of the beginning of the credits is hilarious. I love that still. I should have that as my background, having introduced. But yes, that's the high points. On to point 3, the low points. What's the worst things and bits about the film? There's a gigantic elephant in the room. Who wants to grab a hold of that elephant and run with it?
Robert fucking Duvall, Scottish accent.
What is Robert Duvall doing in this film? What is it that he's trying?
Utter dog shit. It's worse than what the fuck were we watching?
Paul McGillen.
Highlander, Christopher Lambert.
Yeah. Connor McLeod's accent. He's from the same clan Robert Duvall's character.
McLeod's can't speak Scottish.
See, I thought he was alright because Chantel's like, is that a good accent? I was like, it's alright.
He's from a small mining town southwest of Glasgow, is where he said he was from. Literally talking gibberish in some scenes. I have no idea what he's saying. We should say the film was a passion project for Robert Duvall. It's his film that he from an acorn of an idea he
just
created.
Made the American owner wants an American coach, and that's why they brought in the American goalkeeper.
I don't know if I have this in my anything else, so I'll say it now. It was right in front of them, and they did not do it. Why is Brian Cox not the manager of the football team in this film?
Robert Duvall had to do that.
But he didn't. He could have been the American owner. Yeah. He's an American man.
But they need Michael Keaton.
No, they didn't.
You don't even need to see the owner.
Yeah,
the whole thing going to Dublin doesn't need done at all.
The whole Brian Cox is his old manager, assistant manager, all the way around from way back in the day. So there's that. It is barely even a drop of a storyline in the film. It's in there. And then they bring it back. Oh yeah, you know each other from the past, but there's no conflict because of it. So you don't even have to see that. They could have Walter Smith be the Rangers manager. It doesn't matter. Have Brian Cox be the main guy, and it's an infinitely better film because he sounds Scottish.
But it's not even like that. It's his constant laughing at nothing, and then what was that crying face when he goes, he missed his door? What the fuck was that?
He ruins every scene he is in, which is the majority of the first half. The second film is so much better because I think they give up on him. They're like, Bob, can we just not have this scene in and we'll have more of Ali doing stuff? I feel like that's what happened.
Well, I've got one more of them. It's called this, and then that's me out for a while. When he's having dinner, obviously, it's a bit misogynist there. Go answer the phone, bitch.
Oh, right.
It's a microphone in his mouth.
I have a segment in Low Points on what I've now called the phone call. This is my low point. So we can do it now if you like. But I was going to. But the phone call, 14 minutes into this film, immediately upon seeing this. Oh, actually, first half of the scene, I had to stop. I can't. I need to go back and watch this from the beginning again. The scene in the room where our main man Tommy walks into the flower shop, and him and the woman behind the counter just recite lines at each other, and he's hi doggy, like that sort of stuff, and they just say, hi, I didn't realize it was you, yeah, you're my favorite customer, yeah, I love it in here, ha ha ha, nice doggy, thank you, bye. And
what's that?
It's a famous bit from The Room, trust me.
Room.
So,
right. I thought somebody walks into the room, right? Got it.
This film immediately made me think of The Room when it's in it. Now I have the phone call. I have it written down here. 3 people speak in this. Okay, and I can't do it justice because it's just one of me, and I can't do it because there is so much overlapping and nonsensical bits of conversation. So the phone rings. Irene goes, "Hello." Before she finishes hello, Ian, another end, goes, "Hello, Irene." Like she's like, "Hello, hello, Irene." Is Gordon there? But before he says there, she's like, "Uh-huh." So she interrupts the question with the answer before he's finished the question, and then there's a slight pause. Ian, he is. Another giant pause. Then Ian goes, "Great news!" And Irene's, "He's just coming." And he goes on to start talking about the great news. And Gordon takes the phone. "Ian, hey Gaffer, have you heard? You heard he just interrupts him there. "Have you heard the draw? The barn at home." And then, like Chris says, Robert Duvall just goes, "Heh heh." And then Ian continues on, "This is a right chance at going through." And then it's indecipherable because Robert Duvall cuts in to be like, "Only if we score more goals than they do." And then weird pause, and Ian goes, "Oh, I'm sure we will." Aye, you're right. It's great. Eh? Okay then, bye. Talk to you later. That's the end of the phone call. It's like, what the hell? Why is this in the film?
I think it's now a high point because of Bruce's reenacting.
Then he goes to sit down and just chops his thing and goes, looks at his wife. Eh?
Yeah.
Eh? And he starts eating. And it's like there's a microphone inside his mouth, and he goes, Dumbarton. That's eating again.
So the whole purpose of the scene is him finding out that from Dumbarton, which is inconsequential. Like, Dumbarton aren't a character in the film. It's not a tough game. It's not a rival. The scene isn't required. They just could have gone to, like, they show the guy drawing Dumbarton out against them. Just go to the game. We don't need him having this weird dinner. But oh my god, I was like crying laughing at this. I honestly, I don't do it justice. It's like they recorded.
You reenacted the entire film, Bruce. Yeah. That was fucking brilliant.
Own end of it, Ian. And then we're just like, Robert Duvall, just guess when you're supposed to say your lines and it'll be fine. Like, it's hours left of shooting on this film. Just we'll put it in. But oh my god, like, it's really is a high point because of how bad it is. But yeah, that's my favorite bit of the film.
Great. So let's go on. I need some audience input here because this caused a great debate today. I don't know football enough. Is it entirely possible for the subplot of this story to have actually happened where they up and move the team to Ireland?
No.
Good.
No.
That's a low point then.
One of the points. Football team the size of Kilnockie wouldn't be significant enough to have an overbearing American owner. So as an American business guy, you wouldn't buy this third tier. Well, you would buy this third tier Scottish football team that's like, they're in the middle. Wrexham has a population of, I don't know, tens of thousands. There's about 50 people live in Kilnockie. And it most definitely wouldn't have enough value to be like, I'm losing money on Kilnockie here. I'm going to move the team to Ireland. You would just go and get an Irish team. You would just give up.
Yes.
You would leave the stadium abandoned and leave the club. But also, yeah, you probably could move the team there, but what, you're taking the goalposts, like the desks,
well, like I was saying, like Chantel's, like, it's not like the Irish team can call, an Irish owner can come and go, right, we're buying Dundee, and then they move Dundee to Ireland because Dundee is Dundee.
The Irish Dundees.
Kilnockie would have to go to Ireland, basically start at the bottom of the Irish leagues. They'd be playing pub teams and all this sort of stuff to work their way up. But the team, there's no brand value. They hadn't won the Scottish Cup in X amount of, like, 100 years and all that, and they probably hadn't even been in the top division. So yeah, it's a horrific American storyline.
Right, that's my low point, and it's just that sub story. I like Michael Keaton. I liked everything he did, except from just the ultimatum of, I'm here because I'm going to sell the team.
Really,
like, they still had the best season of their life. They got promoted and got to a cup final. So there's no reason for them to move.
When he'd won the league, I thought he was going to be really happy because he wanted them to win a cup or win a cup. They won the league, which in some ways is kind of not better.
It's not a trophy.
But it's like, it's big as a trophy. Oh, you're going up a division. You'll be playing some big-ish teams and all that. But he's like, no, you have to win the cup final against the best team in the country, or I'm taking the team to Ireland.
Yeah, that was a low point.
Definitely. Low point. I did not expect to see Ally McCoist having sex at any point. Never mind.
That blew my mind as well because I completely blanked that scene out.
Yep, didn't need that. Didn't need it, really. You just had told me it was a bad boy of Scottish football. I didn't need to see that.
I did think that it was funny that woman just decided to bang half the team though.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's doing well. I'm just going to pump him.
Yeah, because it was the keeper, wasn't it? She banged the keeper as well.
That's right, yeah. I've got two more low points, and one of them's still pretty early, so I'll go this one. Ally McCoist's phone rings in his car after heaved sacks around a farm all afternoon. And for some reason, he has done such a wrong thing that the whole team must run an hour back to, quote, the grounds. Which, the Formula One football stadium.
It looked fucking miles away.
I don't remember them driving through fields and rivers.
What do you want from him? Like, you're standing in a barn with the two buses and his car, and his phone rings. It's like, it's not like he's on his phone. It's not like he's not. They're all just standing about. And
they're finished training.
Yeah, they were coming home, and his phone rang. It's like, it was just a power play, I think, by the manager. But the main question is, he drove one bus. The guy who drove the other bus drove Ally McCoist's car. Is the other bus just still sitting in that barn?
I never thought about
that. Yeah, he's like, oh, here, take his keys and take his car back, and then he drove the bus, but the other guy drove the other bus. So it's preposterous. So I've only got one more low point after this, so fire on.
I can't think of it, well, actually.
Mine's is the random Haley dancing scene. I didn't get that.
I didn't hate that.
No, I was just there.
Yeah, it's just a bit weird, like having like the women that banged them all, but make these little waistcoat things, give them the waistcoats. It's just so weird.
I think they were trying to go kind of Scottish culture with it a bit as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a film about sport.
But
it's about
to be fair, you add that into my ultimate low point. Just because it's a Scottish film doesn't mean you need to play bagpipe music every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Immediately bagpipes. I think I had it time stamped. It was like 30 seconds.
But all the way through, and then like, just this weird eerie music that like vague bagpipes. It was a little bit every now and then Irish rather than Scottish. I was like, what the fuck are they going for here?
Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits did the soundtrack score for this film.
Really?
Yeah, it was when we exchanged gifs this morning. The only gif I had was that it said AShotAtGlory. Oh my god, there's actually a gif from this film. And then I sent it. I was like, wait a minute, it says a Mark Knopfler soundtrack, AShotAtGlory. And it's like, it gets to the end of the film, because obviously this is my mind now. And it's like, oh, Mark Knopfler. End of the film, and he comes up, and I'm like, what an inconsequential casting of a soundtrack guy. A really massive guy in music to make a kind of non-existent soundtrack for a film. I
could have just went to my grand CD collection and just went, we're playing this one here, we're playing this one here.
It's just nothing. I would probably imagine that there's probably made more money from the soundtrack than the film because it's got the name Mark Knopfler on it. But yeah, just weird. And you're right, yeah, bagpipes, because it's a tiny town made up on the coast of Scotland. I don't know which side of Scotland it was on, but it was very much on the coast. I've got one more very nitpicky low point. The Glasgow Evening Times. So after he kidnaps the kid and puts him in a taxi, he sees the guy selling the Evening Times outside Central Station. There's no chance that the headline on Glasgow Evening Times would be about Jackie's red card in the game against Queens, when an Old Firm Scottish Cup quarter-final, which ended in violence, happened the exact same day. It's Glasgow. The two biggest teams just played each other, I think, that day. If I'm supposed to think that his wife kidnapped him after the Queen's game and drove him to the Gorbals to be, don't forget where you came from. Then he drives away from there, sees the kid, saves him, puts him in a taxi, ends up outside Central Station, having started in Dumfries. It's still daylight outside somehow. And it's like, yeah, and on the radio, it's like, oh, Celtic and Rangers game happened and there was violence afterwards. It's spread into the streets, i.e., I don't know, half a dozen teenagers. There's no way it would be like Ally McCoist was sent off against Queens. It would be Rangers beat Celtic in bloodbath would be what it was. So that was very nitpicky, but why put it in the film? I don't understand. Is that us then? No more low points.
I think I'm out.
The low points, as the progression of the film goes, they do stop quite early. Like, there's not much to complain about after about halfway through the film. So that's a good sign for the film. Point 4, the stats. 4 shits, 48 F-bombs. It is about Scottish football after all. You can't not have F-bombs in it. No explosions. Surprisingly, no deaths. I thought we were going to get a death at some point along the way, but none. They're in the wilderness, but I can't say I saw any cows or goats. None jumped out at me as being cows and goats.
No.
There wasn't like they were rounding up goats as a training exercise or anything like that. So. Dead animal. The fish at the end was definitely a dead fish they were waving around in the water. So within the story of the film, it was not dead. She just caught it. But that was definitely someone like waggling the fish around. Oh, I've got one. Paedophiles, none confirmed, but Ally McCoist did
I see Jackie kidnapped
the kid in the Gorbals. So go for that. Tackleberry trifecta. He did not ride a motorcycle, otherwise Ally McCoist was on for it, but he did not. He had a flash car.
Convertible.
Yeah, if that had been a flash motorcycle, not a flash car, he'd have been a Tackleberry Tom Cruise, Ally McCoist trifecta.
Oh, no. Robert Duvall was on a bicycle. That's the closest thing to a motorcycle.
Oh, he was. You're right. Yes. Oh, imagine that. I don't think he ran at any point. He didn't get. Oh, yeah, I suppose he's married. We could have had the Tackleberry trifecta and the McCoist hat trick if he'd ridden a motorcycle, but he didn't. The thing I counted for this film, doing football wrong, which films cannot. They just cannot do football right in films. Not as bad as I feared it would be. Ted Lasso's a worse offender. Chris might chip in with something he noticed. Claiming that a player is good because he plays defense is something like, well, that's not a footballism. moving the team to a different country, not having that. A pub full of people cheering and punching in the air at a player highlights montage on the television. No, that doesn't happen. A manager would never, under any circumstances, greet and or direct the opposing bus in the car park.
All right, I thought that was a thing.
Maybe that's mind games. That.
No, but like that's a character thing only. Like that doesn't happen in football. Even in Division 2 in Scotland, would the manager meet the other team and be like, "Where are you playing? Oh, you're shite." Like that's not.
I thought it was about thinking, are you in defence? Are you sweeper? Oh yeah, you're gonna come up against Jack O'Connell. He's gonna fucking have you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stay in the bus.
Also, nobody played sweeper in the 99-2000 sort of era. Sweepers were gone by then. That was the position the guy claimed that he played. A big one for me. The goalkeeper shirt is the same as the Kilnockie kit.
Aye, I'm for that.
It's like, how do you tell them apart? It's like, oh, we play maroon. He's playing in dark orange. They're not the same colour. This is a real fake out. It does happen, but Rangers never draw Celtic in the quarterfinals of the cup. The SFA always fix it so that they get a big Hampden game. So that never happens in football. Someone keeps getting tossed out of games. Like that's what American would call it. That's not a football thing, he would say. And then when they first bring on our main man Cole Hauser to playing goals, the crowd are just going, yank, 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 but not like his fans, the opposing fans. Cool. Yank, yank, yank. Like, I don't think that was a thing that would happen.
Well, when I played for the school team, I was in the goals, and somebody called me a Moffat Toffee keeper because I was from Moffat.
How right they were.
Yeah.
And then did they say the thing? Did they say a shot at glory or even a shot at glory?
Twice.
Oh, Andy says twice. I had only once after 31 minutes, Andy.
It's twice.
What was the other one? Because one was
Robert
when he's fishing.
Says when he's fishing, did he?
Aye.
Fair enough then. I must have missed the fishing one. I'll take two then. But yeah,
Definitely
okay.
two.
Fair enough. Twice. Very good. Chris, any stats from you?
Yeah. Jackie scored 5 goals, and the team scored 11 when he was suspended. So they actually did better without him in the team.
He seemed to be they seem to just not play league games, just play cup games for a bit. Then he gets suspended, and then they just play a whole bunch of league games, win the league, and then it's like win the cup again. It was a really strange.
He was suspended. Why is he showering with them? he's watching the games like, I'm going to join the lads in the shower here. Play windmills. A fun fact. Ally McCoist wore a Rangers top underneath the Celtic shirt, so the material didn't touch his skin.
Okay. Otherwise, the movie would have bombed if he'd done that.
And it's 36 minutes. Is it 48 seconds? 48 seconds until Sean's appearance.
Hey.
Get that time stamped on the YouTube video. Sean Walker looking for his seat.
Oh, it's 18. I've got a typo here. It's 36:18, I think.
6:18.
I fucked up my own fucking fact here. Cancel it.
It's definitely 36. I paused that enough to try and get my.
It's either 18. It's 18. I've got a typo here.
I mean, people will find it eventually. I'm sure they can see him behind Andy. Andy, do you have a fun fact about A Shot at Glory?
Yeah, Michael Keaton's actually Scottish heritage, and his actually real name's Michael Douglas.
Oh, really? I wonder where the Keaton comes from then. Not very common.
I know.
Yeah. Very good. Fact. Andy, point 5 on the podcast is the 10-point podcast quiz. And Chris still arguing about last week, so hopefully it's less controversial.
So this is a little bit complicated.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do penalty shootouts.
Okay.
Okay, back and forth, okay.
So it's back and forth, like Chris said, but with a difference.
Oh, what?
So I'm going to give you a category, okay? And then either Bruce or Chris will go first. And then you take it in turns, naming things from that category until you hesitate.
Right?
You hesitate or take too long, or you repeat something that's already been said.
Cool.
Okay.
And then if you miss, obviously the other person wins that point, and then we'll go into another round.
And then I'm assuming the other person would start that one.
Yes, correct. So who wants to start first?
I'll go first.
Yeah,
Always go first.
Okay.
Penalty shootout. Always go first to the penalty shootout.
Right, so Bruce is going first in the first round. Multiple rounds of penalty shootouts. Here we go. Mm-hmm. So, first shot, Bruce. Teams that Kilnockie played in this film.
Rangers.
Correct.
Queen of the South.
Correct.
Kilmarnock.
Correct.
Airdrieonians.
Correct.
I'm out. I didn't pay enough attention to the fucking teams.
Hesitation. It was.
They beat Airdrie 6-2. So
it was Reith Rovers.
Yeah, I might have guessed that, but I was done after Airdrie.
So now you said I remember the names in the fucking IMDb pop-up as Wraith players. Okay.
Right. Oh, yeah. So this was a bit complicated, so you have to pay attention, and if you say something that we don't know, you've got to try and explain yourself, because I might not have it on my list.
Okay.
Chris, you're first. Famous figures with the surname Duvall.
Robert Duvall?
Yep.
David Duvall.
David Duvall, who's he?
He's a golfer.
Okay.
Shelley Duvall.
Yep. Bruce?
I'm gubbed, I think. No, I'm done. I don't know. That was the only other one I had.
Robert Duvall, then out of nowhere, she popped up.
You could have had
thought of the golfer. I was like, oh, I'll go him. And I was like, oh, Shelley Duvall.
You could have had Wayne Duvall, actor. You could have had Clea Duvall, an actress. You could have had Adam Duvall, baseball player. Betty Duvall, American conspiracy person thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah. There was loads of Duvalls. Right. Bruce is first.
Me first.
Teams Ally McCoist has played for.
Rangers.
Yep.
Kilnockie.
Yep.
Scotland.
Yep.
Is it Wraith Rovers?
Nope. He's out. His other teams were St Johnstone and Sutherland.
Sunderland. I was thinking it was an English one and I couldn't quite get it. I was maybe stuck there, Chris. I think if you'd got Sunderland.
Okay, there was a team before Rangers. I just couldn't remember who it was.
Right. Chris. Movie, right? Listen carefully, okay? Movies and TV shows that Michael Keaton has won awards for. Chris, go.
Birdman.
Correct.
Jackie Brown?
Jackie Brown. Not on my list.
So,
yes!
Oh,
I was fucked after Batman. After
you could have had Spotlight, Dope Stick, Batman, Beetlejuice, Clean and Sober, The Merry Gentleman, Night Shift, The Founder. Loads.
It's funny, I was talking about Sean with this, and I forgot every single one of those films and TV.
I thought he'd have won something for Jackie Brown because he's one of the main guys. Isn't it?
Right,
that's annoying.
Sticking with the football theme, Bruce is first.
Yep.
Real footballers who appeared in Escape to Victory.
Escape to Victory.
What?
Right. I probably should know who's in that film. Is Pele in it?
Oh, yeah.
Pele, yes.
Fucking asshole. Diego Maradona.
No.
Pele was the only one that I remember because he had that white strip with the two things down.
I came embarrassingly close to saying Sylvester Stallone to start off. So
yeah. You could have had Ozzy Ardiles, Bobby Moore, Peter Van Helmsen, Cole Perez, Russell Osman, John Warwick, Kevin O'Connell, Callan, whatever.
Anyway, I think I'd have gone Bobby Moore, so I might have been all right if Chris had got something.
So Chris, sticking with the football theme. Mean Machine top billed cast members.
Vinnie Jones.
Yep.
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
He's in
close. He's close. Danny Dyer's in the top bill. Yep. Three. Two,
Burt Reynolds, the American one.
One. Nope. You could have had Omar DeGili.
I can't remember his name.
You could have had Omar DeGili, Jason Fleming. Loads of people. Vass Blackwood, Robbie Gee, Jeff Bell. They were all top billed.
Yeah.
What's the scores?
3 each.
3 each, right. We're going to sudden death tiebreaker round.
Okay.
Who's first?
It's maybe to be me going first, but I'll take
that.
that.
Mean Machine. Yeah, so it's Bruce.
Yeah, right. Bruce, this has got nothing to do with football.
Oh no.
You have to name animals that you would not have as a pet. So any animal, but just you wouldn't typically have as a pet.
Okay, elephant.
Yep.
Lion.
Yep.
Giraffe.
Yep.
Tiger.
Panther.
Yep.
Oh fucking hell, shark.
Yep.
Grizzly bear.
Yep.
A possum.
Yep.
Black bear.
Yep.
Badger.
Yep.
Brown bear.
A fucking parakeet here. Panda bear.
Stop taking my thing.
Yep.
Polar bear.
Yeah, I'll give you it. Yep.
Penguin.
Yep.
Koala bear.
Yep.
Kangaroo.
I was going there. Armadillo.
Yep.
Fuck, this is going forever. A zebra.
Yep.
Fuck.
Aardvark.
Yep.
An antelope.
Yep.
A bison.
Yep.
An ox.
Yes.
A cheetah.
Yep.
I'll forfeit here because this is going forever.
3, 2, 1.
T-Rex.
Chris lost.
That's what I was.
I knew he was going to fluster anyway. He was going to
I said shark. I was like, no, that's not an animal. It's a fish.
no, I'll give you it. It's an animal.
Then a parrot. It's like, oh, maybe I can see whale and stuff.
Oh, God. I like how he started doing bears too, and then we both went alphabet. I went like armadillo, aardvark, zebra. It was like, oh God, oh belter of a tiebreaker, infinite tiebreaker.
Technically, you would have won.
We've only got like 15 minutes to go here, so I'll be the one. I'll cut it here.
Oh, to be fair, I think you did lose technically by saying a shark because it wasn't an animal. So
I don't know. Fair enough. I'll take the win anyway. That was
he's
a good
gonna win.
I enjoyed that. Point 6. Movies within movies. Chris, 10-point podcast universe crossover. Who do we have?
I wasn't expecting to be so many, but apparently there's a few. There's somebody called Steen Young, who was Rangers fan too. He was in 28 Days Later as a featured infected.
All right, so he was a zombie, basically.
Yeah. Jim Sturgeon, who was Jock. I don't know who that was.
Yeah.
Oh, hiccups, excuse me. He was in Edge of Tomorrow as a doctor.
Oh, I thought he was in Justice League as well. So he must actually be like a stuntman or something like that.
Libby Langton, who's Annie. Again, I don't know who that is.
That's the hotel slag. Is
Okay. Okay. She was in Me, Myself, and Irene as an executive.
Yeah.
What
a random connection that one is. Yeah.
Brian Cox, Martin Smith. He was in Braveheart as Argyle. I nearly missed this one as well. Ringer is Gary. I forgot about it.
We've had him this season in an Andy movie.
Will Coxon.
Bill Murdoch. He was Desmond. Again, who the fuck was Desmond?
Desmond, wasn't it?
He was in Braveheart as a villager. Michael Keaton was Peter Cameron. He was in Batman Returns as Batman. Now I'm panicking because I feel like I've done him more than once.
I thought so as well, but that's just Batman, I think.
Okay. And Robert Duvall. I'll go for the last one that I almost missed. It wasn't until I cried that I thought about it. He was in Otto. He was Otto in Gone in 60 Seconds. And until he went, I was like, he's a fucking falling down. Yeah.
I completely blanked on falling down until I saw it in the lift. I was like, oh yeah, so he was.
He was Pendergrass or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's it. Pendergrass, was it? Yeah, a whole bunch in this film. Really weird. Have you recast us into film, Chris?
I have. I've put us as football players, obviously. So I used to play a goalkeeper, so I'll put myself as one of the goalkeepers.
I put you as Celtic. I put you as the worst goalkeeper, Chris.
Okay, Dick. I was also, fun fact, was one of the last teams to play on Palmerston before they changed it.
Oh, really?
So we won as well, 4-1.
Oh, God, so you said played, but didn't say won, but then you did win. You said so.
Bruce, I put you as up top as Jackie. I could see you getting up like a salmon.
Oh, definitely. I had myself as McCoist as well. Yeah, I think I could have.
It was almost Owen Coyle, but I thought, nah, you're quite tall. Andy, because of Friday Night Football, I put you as a defender because you were a wall and you got in front of fucking everything.
I know, right? That was amazing.
Oh, you were doing flips and somersaults and everything getting in balls.
I have no experience of Andy's football talent, so I just put him as the angry fan who used to abuse him. Nicely, I thought. So the usual questions that I ask myself every week: could this film have come out in 1995? It definitely could have done, because Robert Duvall worked on it for years. Like apparently it was somewhere around 1997 was the first time he tried to actually start making it, but he'd been planning it since before then. Flew over to Scotland a whole bunch of times to try and get a feel for the place and the culture of football and all that. So definitely
the accent down.
Yeah, I started working on the accent around then. Yeah, Dead Man Walking is tough, but I thought there's a small chance Robert Duvall's not making it. I think old Gordon might pop his clogs.
Can you imagine his fucking accent if he was dying? Oh, they got me.
That was far too Scottish. That would never have been him. Who's in the wrong movie? I feel like Michael Keaton doesn't need to be in the movie. Robert Duvall's definitely in it. I had him initially, but I thought, what's he doing? But I think
I'll agree with Michael Keaton though. He is
Michael Keaton. The whole, like Andy says, the whole idea of him taking the team doesn't. There's no. You don't need that. They're trying to win the cup. A wee team would be fine, rather than the team's going to move if they don't. And the movie tropes that we need to die. I've gone for. Here's a nice old lady. Oh, she started swearing. Ha 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 ha. That happens far. It was mainly the woman at the beginning who shouts at him for driving his sports car through the town. But the tea lady did a wee bit of it as well, Andy. I know you liked her, but yeah.
I liked her.
You see.
I'm plugging my laptop and it's about to die.
Oh, right, okay. Chris, what's your movie trope that you want to see die?
People attempting accents that are unnecessary.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Scottish.
Don't do it if you can't. Yeah, that's the thing. Andy, I don't know if you can see or hear.
You.
Do you want to chime in with your trope?
Just bad Scottish accents with Chris. I'm with him.
Yeah. That's a specific trope, actually. Being horrific at being Scottish is a real movie trend. Other accents
Don't
get
do
away.
it if you can't do it.
Yeah. People can do English all right. People can do American all right, but Scottish is always bad if you can't. Point 7 on the podcast. That one thing. What does this film have that is the one thing that it will mean it's important? Whatever more. Chris is ready to go. Is it Sean? This is the film.
It's Sean's movie. It's not Robert Duvall. It's not McCoist. This is Sean's movie.
Fair enough. I've gone for it as McCoist's acting career. It's his 80 for Brady. This is his defining. This is Ally McCoist at his peak. Is what I went for. But he might be overshadowed by Sean. No, I think about it. Fair point. Point 8 on the podcast. Our nominations for the Pointy Awards, and I've asked you to deliver me a Pointy Award, or we're going to Ireland. So, Chris, Pointy Award nominees.
Best actor, Ally McCoist.
Definitely.
He had me convinced that he loved Celtic. For that alone, I guess the best actor. Worst actor, like I say this a lot, très controversial, but Robert Duvall, fuck me. There's a million Scottish actors that could have done what he did.
I'm double down with worst accent because I've no idea what he was trying to do, where he was trying to be from. So yeah, Duvall double there, I think.
I'm gonna say most underused is Ally McCoist.
Most underused is Brian Cox.
Yep.
Well, I quite like the fact that he just came in as a bad guy and then.
But he wasn't even a bad guy, really.
No, he's just angry Scottish.
Yeah, he was a Scottish football manager. But I think McCoy's in it a lot and is enough. I think Brian Cox should have been the main role in this.
Well, best team I put is Kilnockie, but technically it was the Scum Rangers.
Yeah, they were the best team. But yeah, I think the Kilnockie boys coming together in the
end. Biggest bellend, I put Gordon. What he said to Burns during the Queen's game was bang out of order.
I'll jump on board, yes, but also because he is the worst father figure, is Gordon.
Yep, again, that's coming up. Yeah,
horrendous.
What did he, this is going to come up before. Like, did he stop talking to her because Ally McCoist, Jackie was Catholic?
So seemingly, So Robert Duvall's character seems to be based on the whole Alex Ferguson ordeal at Rangers, which famously, it's in the documentary about Alex Ferguson that he played for Rangers, was Protestant, fell in love with and married a Catholic girl, which is basically why he fell out with Rangers. And basically they hated him and hounded him out the door. And for the rest of his Scottish life, Scottish management life, was just trying to beat Rangers and show them up and be like, you should never have done that to me. So that seems to be Duvall's backstory, seems to be that Alex Ferguson, that his wife was this Catholic woman, and that's why he fell out of love with all that. But then, seemingly, he's done exactly the same to his daughter who fell in love with McCoist.
Yep.
Which, because he's Celtic and she's from him and he's Rangers. And it's like, it's like horrific that he immediately went down the exact same route as everybody else. And also, I think because McCoyst's a bit of a dick as well. It's like, I don't want you hanging out with him. But yeah, worst father figure, and because of that, for me, biggest bellend.
Yep. Worst plan is going to a football game and not watching it.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to spend to listen to.
He goes to all the games. He doesn't even watch them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if a Kilnockie season ticket would be that much, I guess. But yeah, it's a terrible way. I mean, they were winning. So.
I put best twist is that Kilnockie didn't actually win it. Because like the underdog stories, they always go on and win it. Like Dodgeball, the underdog story, they go on and win it. And other films, they go on and win it. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Plus, the fact he was telling his kid, he's like, oh, last penalty, you're going to score and win it. So that's the best twist. Didn't win it.
Speaking of him, most annoying kid was definitely Jackie McCollum Jr.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure if it was the worst special effects. Michael Keaton in one of the games just standing there just doing one and just opened the window randomly. So I don't think he was actually there.
I think he was there. I thought he was like horrifically green screened.
Yeah.
As if, oh, I'm behind this window. Oh. But then he opens it. Like, oh god, he was there. But I can't tell if that was some football stand in California somewhere that these people were pretending to be Scottish football fans. Or if you actually flew over for it, because I feel like there's some scenes he's in that are in Scotland, so I'm not sure. I had that as well. I thought you might go down the route of the football shirts with the worst special effects, the green screened Ally McCoist football shirts. But
best setup is Palmerston.
Yeah. I'll go with that one.
I quite like that they turned a football stadium into theirs with like the Kilnockie News and all that on it. But yeah, Palmerston looked pretty good at that point. Although Hampden was pretty good. But yeah.
Oh fuck, I forgot Hampden. Best cameo: Sean the confused fan looking at a ticket.
Now, I would argue that Sean isn't a cameo. He just might be most underused or something like that. So for cameo, I went for a group nomination for the SFA referees of the late 90s. Every referee in this film is an actual referee for some reason. Like, you could have just got anybody. It didn't have to be Mike McCurry, Willie Young, Hugh Dallas, and John Robotham, actual referees. You just put a black shirt and shorts on a guy and he can be the ref. And half of them had lines and all this sort of stuff. So I don't know why they decided to cameo referee. There's as many every referee is a referee. Every football player is not a football player in this film. I wonder why they went down the route of the refs for some reason.
I thought like being shunned by referees.
Yeah, it's not a cameo. It's like nobody but like 10 people who watch this film know that's Sean. And even then,
they don't know it's Sean.
I know it's a bit blurry. Like, my daddy John Jules is Cole Hauser because I forget every time that he's in this film.
Yeah, Cole Hauser is a good one. I had Owen Coyle because he like plays himself and his name checked and all that stuff. It's quite funny that he's somehow at Kilnockie at this point of his career as well. They don't pretend he's anyone else. Oh, that's Owen Coyle, yeah, the famous football player, just happens to be in Division 2 at Kilnockie.
See is it Queens when they're all sitting eating oranges? I wonder what him and Ally McCoist are sitting there thinking when he's kicking the stuff and we're going, fucking hell, mate, calm yourself down.
There's a one point where Robert Duvall's horrendous in a scene. I'm like, oh my god, how does that person act opposite him? And then straight away, it's him with the team, and I'm like, how are they letting him? Like, that accent's horrific. And then it's the Kaylee, and I'm like, there's even more people. How are they just burst out laughing at him speaking like this? It escalates through the period of the film. I'll go with Cole Hauser. Cole Hauser's fine. That's a good one for unexpected.
It's random as well.
Yeah, really. It's definitely a favour. Him and Robert Duvall must go way back for something.
Michael Pena award, I put Andy Gray's brief Scottish football history.
Definitely that.
You've already done worst father figure. Best exit is the guy at training who thought, fuck this, I'm away.
Yeah, I didn't have that. That's good, yeah.
We've already said it. Worst accent, Robert Duvall's. Jesus Christ. Blah, 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 blah,
best entrance is McCoist arriving in the car through the town, I think. Might not be a winner.
I know it's a random category I've just made up. Best scene change. I'm just going for dinner with Jackie. Bang, goes to Jackie ploughing somebody who isn't Katie.
Yeah, that was a good twist as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Best fight, McCoist versus McCall at Palmerston. That was a good fight. I do have a product placement. I'll go back to you for that, Andy. I've done most of the news, done that. Worst set was Keaton's office that he met in, where he walks down the stairs and the stairs are so creaky you can't actually hear the conversation that's going on because like all the way down the stairs. And then he pokes at this computer. I've brought the internet to Scotland. You've never seen this. Like 1999, I'm pretty sure we were aware of the internet.
I don't know.
Look, you can see scores.
You can see the score.
United win.
Yeah, I might have lost. I'm offended by that. I did enjoy McCoy's betting on Hearts, so that was funny. But the only one I've got that was not mentioned, I think, is best product placement. Andy, have you got a best product placement?
Nationwide.
Yeah, that wasn't that bad. I had Tenants because it was all over Scottish Cup, and it's behind me on my thing as well.
Yeah, I might just Nationwide because the branding was Nationwide in the shirts.
So I had something else.
Notorious for sponsoring as well.
Brian Cox was doing his discussion about this is your weapon with a giant like swoosh on it. So. I think that's us for nominations then, Andy. Do you have any others, do you?
Oh, shit. I just noticed I haven't got a moral.
What can you think on?
Shit.
Moral of the story is 0.9. I've got moral of the story is Scottish football is awful in so many ways, whether it be the quality or the abuse people take, or just general sectarianism and that sort of stuff is pretty awful.
That's what I was going to go there. Sectarianism is awful in football. Yeah, so, I'll double down into one.
What's your moral of the story?
Always check where your seat is.
Read it before you get to the stadium. The number down. 0.10 on the 10-point podcast is the 10-point rating where we rate the film out of 10. Andy, you picked it. You get to go first.
This film is totally not my type of film at all. Like it's sporty. It's Scottish. Like it's just like everything about it is bad. There's a little bit of this film that I like because obviously I was there with my gran and my cousin. Got to see a bit of it being filmed, so that definitely helps its score.
I feel bad because you see you're in it, I've still never seen you, and I've just never mentioned you in it anymore.
I can't even see myself in it, to be fair. I know where I am, and that's the only reason why I know where I am. I can't physically see like an outline of my face.
Yeah.
But it's kind of grown on me this watch because like Wrexham, it's like they did this film like 22 years before Wrexham. It's getting a score that it should be like, I don't know, it shouldn't be as high as it is, but it's getting a 4.
Fucking hell.
Andy. I'm not far off of what Andy's thinking. The first half of this film is just Robert Duvall wrecking every scene he's in with a bit. It's funny. It's almost at the kind of room levels of like he'll just hit out with a couple of syllables, and I'm like, I don't know what that word is or what he's trying to say, and it just cracks me up. But the actual football storylines throughout I quite enjoyed. All the wee cup run and all that sort of stuff. Some of the characters are really good. Ignore the whole moving the team away thing. That's nonsense. But McCoist's really good in it. It's kind of fun, and by the end, I was into it. And like the low points dry up the last half hour, 40 minutes of the film because I was properly into it.
My one big point actually is like Ally McCoist just doesn't get caught with all his cheating, little prick.
But he stops. I think that's
really
the
does it once.
Yeah, I think he kind of
does it twice. He bangs that woman and then the hooker in the hotel. That's twice.
No, but he sends away the one in the hotel. She doesn't come in. So
well, yeah.
Maybe he Vic's around and takes the champagne or whatever and kicks.
Or it was just a quickie.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But yeah, the redemption of Jackie McQuillan.
Yeah. McQuillan.
I also landed on a 4. I actually quite liked it. I'd maybe watch it again. I think, but after a wee while. Chris, how about you?
I'm gonna go full Scottish here. It's fucking pish.
God.
Like, we only gone about this film because of Sean, so that's 1 point. Ally McCoist is tremendous in this film. That's 2 points. That is it.
Oh, God.
The 2
Robert
stars
Duvall
of the film.
tags this film fucking horrendously.
He does.
Oh no, sorry, it gets 3 because of the actual games of football.
There we go.
Really good. So it gets 3 points.
You can get up to 4 in a minute.
Oh no, that's it. I'm done. It's literally Sean, Ali, football.
I'll tell you what. If Robert Duvall is listening, and we're going to get this back in the books.
That's fucking 2 films you've ruined.
There we go. Chris basically doesn't want you to act anymore.
I don't think he does.
You're still alive, right?
I think so.
Maybe. Carrying on. Chris's vote changing did take it from officially a 3 to a 4, so I'm glad he did change. I think 4 is where it is. I think 2 would be very harsh on it. It's not brilliant, but 4. It's not Highlander. It's not The Room, but it's bad. But I like it. I think
it would have got a 10 out of 10 if it was just fucking football. Out of the question with football.
Yeah, no Robert Duvall would be a big deal. This is Andy's theme of underdogs one way or another, whether it's winning or otherwise, with his movies this season. We've already established that. One final underdog coming from you next time, Andy?
It's a biggie as well. It's the
big underdog.
Ultimate.
Is it the one that I'm thinking of?
The underdog. Right.
Oh, wait, talking to the devil, so I'll just sent me a Snapchat.
Hey!
Are you talking about me?
You could say
so yes, it is me next time. Now I'll warn everybody, it'll be a 2-week gap before the next episode, so you've got 14 days to find this film. And my theme, Andy guessed kind of right, and I've given it to you, is cops and or robbers is my theme for the season. And I feel like an area we've not done a lot is 1980s comedy. I feel like we've done comedy, we've done 1980s sort of action, horror, maybe not any comedy from that era. So the cop of the 1980s, starring Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop. Let's go there. When you think of cops, you think of Beverly Hills Cop. I remember it being funny. I've only seen it a couple of times, I think. So
I could tell you what happens. I've got one.
Some bananas and tailpipes. I'm telling you that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Beverly Hills Cop. It should be easy to find. It's kind of everywhere. It's on lots of streaming services. It's very popular. You've got 2 weeks to find it, and we'll see you after that period of time on the 10 Point Podcast.